Hey guys, Forsaken Reality here. In this video I'll be integrating our medical component into Survival Game Kit V2. So at the end of this video we will be able to use our items. It will also hide our equipped weapons and stuff. Show you how to get rid of that pickup display as well in the video. Animations will play properly. UI will be displayed. And I need to get some ammo. But we will be able to kill and shoot ourselves, and everything will properly. And when we respawn, everything will be reset. So without further ado, we'll get into setting this up. So the first thing I'm going to do is drag this out of the way. So a test copy. I have a copy of the medical component in 423. And a copy of Survival Game Kit in Unreal Engine 5.0. So I'm just going to migrate the medical component over into our copy of Survival Game Kit. And add that to the content folder, select the folder, and that should copy over all the files. And we can close out of our medical component for now. So we should have our medical component and Survival Game Kit over here. So that's good. So the first thing we're going to do here is deal with our sockets. So we want to go into the demo folder in the medical component, mannequin, character, meshes, and open up the skeleton. And an easy way to get a view of the sockets is to just hide all bones and make sure show active sockets is toggled. Usually it is by default. And then you want to select all these. I held control and selected them all. You can copy them by right clicking, or you can just click Control C. And now I want to open up the skeleton so I can get back to it fast again. So I'm going to go to Meshes, Skeletal, and find the U4 Mannequin Skeleton in Survival Game Kit. And on my root, I'm going to paste all those sockets. And they're right there. And right there, so it's all good. Save that. And a quick way to get back to this skeleton, we can just click Browse here, and it'll take us right to the folder. And we can just close out of that. I'm just going to save all just in case. And I'm going to delete this skeleton. And before I do that, I'm going to set the survival game kit. So I'm just going to search for survival. And that'll bring up this skeleton right here. Make sure it's in the path for survival game kit V2 or whatever your skeleton you're using is. Select that. And replace references. Okay. Save selected. Shouldn't take too long. I'm also going to fix up redirectors. You want to make sure to always do that when making changes and removing files that have a lot of things accessing it, basically, like all the animations. So now that we have that done, we are going to go into our Blueprints and Survival Game Kit character and open up our master character. And I'm going to add the medical component first off here. And once we do that, I'm going to open up our medical character in medical component blueprints character. And I'm going to grab these two events right here, on landed and on jumped. And I believe that's in in here. Unlanded right here for survival game kit. And we can just remove that. And now we have our unlanded non-jump defense. And we can also grab this toggle inventory. And we want to go into inputs. And we'll just place that up here. That's for the toggling the medical UI, not inventory. And I'm just going to set this to the I key for now. You can set that to whatever key you want. And I'm going to, in this drop down for compile, I'm going to put on success only. So now when I change anything and I have that need to save, I'll click compile and it'll also save it if there's no errors. And also we want to go into our animations and all of our montages. We want to set to upper body post aim offset AO. Just gonna set all of these animations just for the montages. And you don't need to worry about that because if you were to reload the animation, it works fine again. Just if you're worrying about the T-pose every time I set these slots. You want to make sure you set it every single one. There's 12, I believe, altogether. Make sure you select the correct one. So that's then you can save all those animations. Now they allow us the animations to actually be triggered. Now that that's done, we're going to deal with our items. So we want to go into medical component, blueprint, items, and open up our master item. I'm going to go back to blueprints, interface, open up the interact interface. Then I'm going to rename these to trigger item effects, so there's no interferences with current functions and other interfaces once I parent classes, and use item. And then I'll just change these two. And now next thing I want to do is go to, just going to save all just in case. Then I want to go to class settings, actor, and search for skeletal master item. And I want to find all the references to this skeletal mesh 0. That's our mesh that was originally there. And we want to go to each of these locations and replace them with the top level skeletal mesh, which will be our new reference. Eventually you can just delete this one once we replace all the meshes and make sure there's no more references to it. And if you happen to miss a reference or want to just make sure, you can always just right click again and find. That was just the last one that I didn't add. When I find references, there's none, so I know they're all replaced. Now there's a few things we want to change here. First, we want to go to our event graph, drag it, right click on our begin play and add call to parent. And we'll just plug this in like so. So that'll get all the begin play code in our parent class that we'll need. So basically all this that actually triggers survival game kits settings. And we want to head over to our medical component. So we can go to the medical component folder. And right here is our medical component. And here we're going to want to go to our event graph. And first we're going to redo a few things in our death and respawn event. First we're going to remove all this death UI stuff, disabling movement, because that's all handled in survival game kit. Left with this. And we're also going to just call the respawn event here. And in the respawn event, we're going to remove a few things as well. Remove everything to do with the UI. Keep this. Remove this as well. Connect like that. Also remove this component tick set enabled. And right here we're going to get a character ref. Get controller. Get component by class. We're going to get our player inventory. And from here we're going to call server kill player. And that's it for the death event. Now we want to deal with our pickup and drop items. I'm gonna remove this in the sequence. And down here for our drop event. Get rid of all that. And all this. And just bring over this. Connect it. And I believe that's all we need to do for that. We're also going to go into our application and make a couple quick adjustments here. So we're going to remove the replication on these because when you're using the items from the inventory, they're replicated already, so you don't need those settings to be replicated basically. And I'm just going to quickly head back into the interaction and name the pickup to attach item. Because I'm not really picking up with it anymore. It's only for the testing in the system. And now I want to head into our survival game kits player inventory components. I want to scroll down through the components for the BP player inventory. And in here we want to look for over search and search consume. We'll select our consume item. Just gonna disconnect this over here for now. That handles increasing hunger and thirst and stuff in survival game kit. And the sounds and also bleeding. Their system's bleeding. We're gonna drag out spawn actor from class. I'm gonna get item, scroll all the way to the bottom. Look at this reference to item over here. This can be useful for things like this to get rid of all these pins, for example. So you need to drag them all over the place. Control C. Just quickly showing how these can control Ving in them all in. That'll pick up the whatever comes out through here, and this will basically grab whatever is sent in. So we want to get our item. Let's see, item details. Just gonna move this up out of the way some more. Give myself some room. And from here, we're gonna break the item details. And we're looking for our world class. You can just hide all the unconnected pins. You can see you're able to select and make any pin visible that you want. Makes it easier to make structures a little cleaner. And now we want to set this to always spawn and ignore. We want to get our owning character. Get the mesh for the owning character. Go transform. Then put this in for the owner. Also get owning character for the instigator. from here, port this to a variable. That must be our spawn consumable ref. I gotta use item interface call, which is in our master item right here. We'll call a message to our spawned item. Send a message. And the interacting actor is the owning character. And we want to make sure to return consumed. So spawn the item and use it. And just gonna double check, make sure there's nothing else missing here. Seems good. Now that that's set up, we should be able to consume our items, but there will still be some replication issues we'll need to fix up. Before we do that, I'm just going to add an item so we can use that as a testing item. So I'm just going to go into our items list here and blueprints item. And yes, for our consumable water bottle, duplicate that one for now. Let's give it a name, plastic bottle, or you can remove the one above or use the one above, remove it, replace it with ours. We want to come down through here. We'll just rename a few things. Make sure we remove this and look up for bottle and get the bottle of water. That's a bottle of water. We'll want to set that to each of the new items blueprints. Should be good for that for now, and I'll just duplicate and add a little item from the asset. You can do the same thing for each of them. Make sure it's not, yeah, I guess it's not the same. Okay, beef stew. You name that whatever you want. Now we'll rename this to put whatever you want in for these descriptions. We'll place that with there. Will be the blueprint for the canned beef stew. Probably place this image so it'll be a little easier to tell them apart. You can always get your own images. Survival Game Kit, I believe, has a system built into it to allow you to take snaps and create textures like this of any of your items. He has a tutorial, I believe, on his channel or on his website somewhere to show you how to do that. And that'll be okay for that for now. And you can just go ahead and add all the other items. I probably won't do that in this video because it'll just extend it way too long. And it's basically the same concept, just adding the items, changing the view values, giving them a name, and you're good to go. Other than you'll want to come into your item and scroll down to item here. And we'll look for our consumable. This is the bottle of water. Plastic bottle. And now that will also set the skeletal mesh here automatically. You know that it's outlined, so it's selected. So we can remove this one. And it'll also automatically attach the cap to whatever skeletal mesh has replaced these references earlier. We'll also want to deal with the canned food. Seems like this one was reset, probably because it was using the default master items. I want to scroll down and look for item. I believe ours is, yep, the beef stew, and now the can spawns in. It's all good to go. Just gotta place one of these in the world and see what happens. See if we're missing anything specifically to figure that. Also bring a book bag over so I don't need to keep doing this. Oh, my engine crashed here. If your engine crashes, just restart it. I'm just gonna pause while this reloads. Okay, now that we reloaded everything, should be able to. That was just a random crash, I guess. That happens sometimes because we changed up some of the events and functions. But it seems to be fixed now, so we're just testing out using it. Our item, so we take a drink of water. Everything triggers. There are some replication issues, and you'll see the display of the widget there. We'll fix that after. At the end of the video, we'll get the widget fixed. For now, we'll deal with the replication issues. Now that we can actually drink an item, we can test to make sure things work. And from here on out, I'll be testing with 2 players, I guess, so it doesn't lag so much. You can test with as you'd like. And I'm going to play as a listen server so we can test server and client. And I'll also do a client-to-client test at the end. Now I'll want to set up a notify to trigger the item animation, so like the bottle cap or the can peeling. So we'll go into blueprint cinematical component, notifies. I'll just create a new one like this. Blueprint class. You just search for notify and select anim notify. Consumable anim. Now I want to override and receive notify. Make sure to tick the return true. You want the notify to turn. get owner of the mesh component. We'll get component by class, and the component we'll get is the medical component. And we will get our consumable reference. And from the consumable, we'll get our main item info. We'll also get our item anim. And we will also trigger, we'll get this actually from the medical component, server play item animation. From here we'll get our animation, and from our main item info we'll get the mesh. And that will be our notify. We'll go back into our master item. What we'll be replacing is this right here, so we'll just skip on past that. And we can remove this. And the way this item animation will work is we'll go into our montage. I'll just add a new track. Add notify, play consumable anim notify. And trigger that sort of close to the front, but make sure you don't put it right at the start because that will cause issues. And we'll play this now. I'll actually do it with the beef stew because it's more noticeable in that, but there's some frames that you'll notice that the animation seems like it's off because you're starting the item animation a little late, but we'll also fix that. Add a notify track, play consumable, save. And I'll just browse the beef stew, drop that in the world. Gonna need a backpack. So unless there's a delay in the animation, the cover didn't lift up at the same time. So, and there's a replication issue with set visibility. For this, we'll want to is valid check on the mesh. And that'll fix that. But to fix the animation, we want to go into our item animation for our beef stew. And I'm just going to up here on the top bar, you can remove frames. I found that removing the first 7 frames was good for this one. You can remove them. Sorry about that, my daughter just woke up, so get back into it. We'll want to probably remove them a few frames at a time. If you move too many frames, you can also always control Z undo it. For this one, if I can get it, it's found 7 frames. So remove frame 0 to 7. Made this one work well. And the same thing for the water. Some of them may be different, so you may want to be careful. Well, not, I guess not so much be careful, but just move them a few frames at a time and test them out. Move 0 to 7. And now we trigger our animation. Let's forget to look back. Still seems a little off there. You just keep removing a few frames at a time. Thought that 7 worked for me last time, and I might have removed a few more, I guess, from that one. And you see it's getting a little closer. Probably a couple more frames would fix that, but that's fine for now. All depends on also where you place your notify in your animation. How many frames you want to remove. Could be a reason why mine was different from my test. I'm just gonna add it to that one as well. Close up a few of these open things. Don't need these all open anymore. Get that. Now we'll head back into our medical component. And in our replication graph, which is right here, we'll set up we'll set up an event to hide and unhide our weapon. So custom event set held weapon visibility. And I want an input from this new visibility. And we'll get our character ref controller. Get our component by class. This allows us to get access to our player component. Player inventory component. First, we'll want to check if our controller is valid. And if our controller is valid, we will get our holding weapon slot. And we'll break that. That'll get us our holdable actor reference. First, we'll check if that is valid. And we can hide our unconnected pins. Make that a little more neat. From our holdable actor, we'll get SGK holdable mesh. We want the message here. Make sure you get the message. SGK holdable mesh, and there's several options. It's valid. And from here we want to actually create a little bit more. So we want to set up replication for visibility. So custom event, name that server, set build and visibility. And we'll run that on server, make sure you tick reliable. And we'll right click in custom event. That'll be a multicast set held weapon visibility. And make sure you tick reliable on that as well. First we'll drag out set visibility. And we need a node, so I'm just going to drag out here set visibility. You want a scene component. Could have also just right click it here like that. Got it like that. I wanted to make sure to take that on, or it makes it a little more confusing when trying to get variables for things. Connect all three of these. Will be our weapon mesh. And from here we will check if that's valid. And we'll call the multicast set held weapon visibility. And I'll plug in our weapon mesh, new visibility, and propagate to children. This will deal with attachments on the weapon, and this will hide the actual weapon mesh and unhide it as well. So I always want to make sure this is ticked to true. And we can actually come into here, set the default value to true. Might as well set it true on both of them. You know, we're probably never going to really call the multicast directly for now. And from here we can set held weapon visibility. And the mesh we're going to use is this one right here. New visibility, we'll set that in the anim notify. And they'll automatically have that toggle true if you set that up here. And that should be our function for setting weapon visibility. Our event, sorry. Okay, now that we have these, we will want to come into our medical component, blueprints, notifies, another blueprint class, search for notify. Set held weapon visibility notify. Then we want to override receive notify. Take that true. And we want to get owner. Oh, not that. Get owner top pure function. Set held weapon First, we want to get our medical component. And we'll set medical component. From there, we want to drag out set held weapon visibility, and we'll get this one right here. Just double check that it's set up. So yeah, the server's plugged in there. And new visibility, promote to variable. Let's name that visible. And we want to make sure that that's instance settable. And that's everything we need for here. Now we can go into our character animations. And I'll just add another track. And we'll just trigger that right up here at the beginning. And visibility ticked off. Let me just copy that. Paste it up here at the end. And set it up invisible again. You'll want to do that for all of your animations. So we'll go into our beef stew and do that as well. Add a new track. Paste it in. So we already have it selected. Some at the beginning. Paste one at the end. Set it visible again. And now we should have it working. Just gonna test that out. Grab a book bag. Hold the weapon. Paste it in. Hide the model, or hide the weapon. And the bottle is not in my hand. Okay, yeah, it's not in my hand. I did put it away. So that's the weapon visibility. And now we're going to want, that's pretty much the items consuming done. We're going to want to deal with damage and health. So to do that, we're going to want to first go to Survival Game Kit Blueprints. And we're going to look for the SGK damage interface. And we're going to add one value to here. It may crash, but if that happens, we will just restart our engine. If you want to compile without changing anything like that, it might help with that. Seems to have for me. And we'll set that to name. Phone name. And now we want to go into our projectile in Survival Game Kit. And in our event, yeah, the hit event, here it is, apply hit actor damage. Yeah, that's what we want. And we want our hit bone now to plug that into our SGK damage. I believe that's everything for our projectile. I'm just gonna double check my copy. Yep. Now it's just Control C, Control V. So you have it has its own little reference there, makes it a little easier to read without making noodles everywhere. Now when I go into our player inventory, and I believe we want to be in our take damage. Alright, so first we want to go into our character. I was just looking around in here. First we want to go into our character. And our damage here. So now we have our hit bone name right here. We want to add that to right here as well. Like that. Now we can plug this in over here. So now we're sending our hit bone name to our inventory, so we can close this. Just gonna clean up a little bit here, some things we don't need. Into the player inventory. And right here after the damage equipment, we want to replace this decrease health node with our own health node. So you're going to their owning character. Component by class. Get our medical component. Apply damage to hit actor body part. search hip bone name, and that's over right here. You just simply call that. We'll get the reference for it properly that we need. Connect that. And final damage, we'll plug into damage. Now it'll set light bleed, but you can create a set of variable here that can be sent from your weapon per item. Damage type will be direct damage. And we can just remove this, and up here we'll do something similar. So we can just copy pretty much all of that, paste it like that. There we go, decrease health. Set up, want to disconnect the hip bone. And set the hit actor to the owning character on both of these. Now I want to get our, just set this current health variable. So we use for UI updating. Owning character. Class. Medical component. Get full body current health. Connect that. And we'll head into there. You just go back and grab this right here specifically, copy that, paste it, set that for current health. And set that for the max health. It'll allow us to update the UI. So now you're able to update the health UI and SGK if you wanted to keep that visible down there. It'll also update the one in the medical component properly as well. And we can just connect this as well there. So we'll set it if it hits a bone and or if it doesn't hit a bone. One of the hitbox bones basically. We're also going to want to head into our medical component and in our death and respawn. We want to set this to run on server and ticket reliable. And also in our player inventory, we want to go to our death and respawn. And right here on the client respawn player. We want to get our owning character. Component by class. Medical component. And search for a respawn. And plug that in like that. Now I'll reset the values in the medical component. Now I'll just do some testing to see if I missed anything. I'm pretty sure that should be everything on my list. A weapon, get some ammo. I'm also gonna need a backpack for my magazine. These are damages. I'm not sure if the UI is working. Oh yeah, they are working. I just never damaged myself enough to do anything. And for that sound issue, go to our medical component, search for destroy component, just copy that location graph, custom event. You may not need to do this in future copies because I'm going to fix this in the main system. Server underscore destroy component. And actually we're going to want multi custom event multicast underscore destroy component. Put the target in there for the target component. Destroy. Multicast destroy component into here. Like the bottom target that's not self. The self means it's getting the multicast from here. And we also want to actually set the replication on them. So run on server reliable. Multicast reliable. And I'll trigger that like this. It'll probably destroy sounds. So that's going to be everything for this one. If you have any questions or suggestions, or if you have any issues, feel free to leave those in the comments or join our Discord. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. Thanks, and I'll see you all in the next one.